and welcome back to the Some Brothers podcast. This is episode 3, where us brothers talk about books, movies, music, and more. I'm Dylan, here with my brother Ryan, and I have a lot to talk about today, but before we even get into it, do you have any stories to tell from life? Did anyone barf on anyone else's shoes in the last month?
No, I don't have anything that I wanted to bring up specifically, but I know you do. Maybe no barfing, but stuff from your life that you want to get into. So I think we'll just get into it.
Yeah, well, only a little bit of barfing because I did get a little bit sick related to my main story I want to tell. A lot happened that we haven't talked about here, and I went to see Shakira live in concert. Right after that, I took a plane to Costa Rica for my honeymoon with my wife. And I did get a little bit sick when we first got to Costa Rica. So, first I want to talk about that. The way that happened, if I could go back in time, I would change our travel plans, the timing of how we did everything. Overall, it was great. Great concert. Great trip. I'll talk about that throughout this episode. But the timing of it was weird because we went to the Shakira concert out of town in San Francisco. And then we had a flight the next day, and it was a red-eye flight. So it was leaving basically midnight. It was like almost midnight. The plane was taking off. And so obviously, naturally, we stayed up late to go to this concert, and then we had to wake up early to get out of the hotel on time, drive home, and then I made sure to not take a nap or get any rest during the day, thinking to myself, oh, that way I'll fall asleep on the plane.
On the plane.
Yeah, I can sleep during the flight. Because I figured I'll have a hard time sleeping on the flight, but if I'm really tired, I'll just fall asleep. I won't mess up my sleep schedule too much. But that didn't work out because on the first flight, we had these really noisy kids right behind us, in the row right behind us. So every time I was falling asleep, I would get woken up by the kids. It was horrible. That made me really tired that I did fall asleep on the next flight because we flew from California to Florida and then Florida down to Costa Rica. So that's just another thing that makes the travel really long. So I definitely was sleeping on that second flight, but it just, a lot of jet lag and sleep schedule being messed up really affected my body. And that's not even the end of it. Once we landed in Costa Rica, we had to take a car to where we were staying on the Pacific coast, and it was like a 3.5 hour drive to get there. So between, staying up late for this concert, driving home, going to the airport, not sleeping through the night, driving halfway across the whole country.
Yeah.
I was just messed up. The next morning I was so jet lagged. I did barf only one time. It was just getting the demons out, and then I pretty much felt better after that.
But in the morning, you didn't get car sick or anything?
Surprisingly, I didn't, because since we were kids, I used to get car sick a lot, and I don't think I even took any Dramamine at all on the way. Maybe I did before the drive. I think I remembered by the time we landed, I was like, I should take some before the drive. But yeah, I wasn't sick until the next morning. And then on the way back, we had a similar type of travel in reverse.
Yeah.
That time I took a Dramamine before the drive. And then enough time passed, I took it before the first flight. I took another one before the second flight. And I didn't have any problems being sick on the way back. But that's the only bad part of the travel was the jet lag, sickness. Other than that, I'll talk about how great it was throughout the next section we do, where we talk about what we've been reading, watching, or listening to lately, because a lot of mine will be from that trip. So let me ask you first. What have you been reading lately that you'd like to recommend?
So reading, what I wanted to talk about is that I have read the last of Robert Hass's books of poetry.
Oh, nice.
I finished them all. I read Human Wishes. That was the last one for me to read of his original poetry books that he's put out. And so I wanted to give my rankings.
Oh, awesome.
Of Robert Hass, my Robert Hass power rankings. It's not really power ranking. I guess power rankings are like a week to week thing. So like this isn't changing.
These are set in stone.
Definitive rankings, rating. So I have there's 7 of them. I have at number 7 his first one, Field Guide.
Mm.
It was kind of my least favorite. I think I talked to you when I first started reading. You I think lent me or turned me on to the Apple Trees at Olema, New and Selected Poems. That's the first one I read. I don't remember if I got that from you, or I think I read it maybe on Kindle even first. But we had talked about it, and I noticed as I was reading that, because it has new stuff in there, but it also is a collection kind of. And as I kind of went through it, I think it's in order. I kind of noticed that I liked his later stuff better than his earlier stuff, and that was consistent with me ranking his first one lowest. Then number 6 would be that one, Apple Trees at Olema, New and Selected Poems. I put it on there because it does have new poetry, so it kind of does count.
Yeah.
So that one's 6. 5 was Summer Snow, which is his newest one from 2020. Is that right?
I
Something
think so.
like that. It's not too new at this point, 5 years ago, but it was pretty new when I read it. I read it in 21 or 22, I think. Number 4, Human Wishes, the one I just read. 3, Praise. But Praise is his second, I think, and it made it all the way to 3. So, I don't know. Praise was, I don't know, I just really liked it. Number 2, Time and Materials. And then number 1 is Sun Under Wood.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one that I liked the most. I know I could have hit you with this earlier and had you ready with your rankings, but maybe you can bring that, because you've read them all too, right?
Yeah, I actually have my rankings. Incidentally.
Then go ahead.
Yeah, when you said you had that, I just opened up the document really quick because I was like, I think I have it. I've read them all, and that's kind of a habit I have now since we've been just reviewing stuff, rating things, is like, if I read a lot from one author, I'll like add it to a list. And yeah, I think it's really interesting. I was looking at mine while you were just reading me yours, and they're all different. Mm-hmm. Another interesting thing about what we do here on this channel is like, I feel like we're interested in a lot of the same stuff, but we usually come at it from a different angle or something. We like it for different reasons, which is interesting. Also, I didn't include Apple Trees at Olema. I was thinking of that as like a compilation. I forgot about that.
Yeah, it mostly is. It only has one little section that's new. So
I'll give mine just a little faster. Of the 6, my bottom one is Time and Materials. Number 5, Human Wishes. Number 4 for me is Sun Under Wood. I did like it. I mean, I like them all. But number 3, I put Field Guide. I really liked his first one.
Yeah.
And then for number 2, I have Summer Snow, the one from 2020. I also enjoyed a lot. And number 1 for me is Praise. That's my favorite of his.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, like you're saying. Like there's a couple of them that were like basically almost opposite. Like we're so different.
Yeah.
On Sun Under Wood and Time and Materials for you are much lower.
Yeah.
Than mostly Field Guide and Summer Snow for me are lower and are high for you.
Yeah.
And Praise is pretty close. You have it 1, I have it 3. Human Wishes is in the middle for both of us.
Yeah. Yeah, that's still interesting how different it can be out of like such a short ranked list. We can have that much difference.
Yeah.
Very cool. That's cool that we both read all of those.
Yeah.
Up to now. Okay, as for me, I have been reading this one really big book related to my trip to Costa Rica. By the time I finally got there, and we were safely in our Airbnb, and once I was feeling better, I like to read in the morning. That's one of my favorite times to read. So when I was in Costa Rica, waking up, brewing some Costa Rican coffee, going out to sit on this balcony porch that we had at the Airbnb, I would listen to the sounds of the rainforest and people going by on motorcycles below. And I was reading...
you had your own sound machine. You know,
yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to pull up Spotify to get your nature noises and stuff like that. Ambient noises.
That's what I was thinking about coming back home. I was like, it's so quiet at night. Like down there going to sleep, like you're saying, I can hear the rainforest outside the windows, and it's it makes me want to just go search Costa Rica rainforest sounds and like put it on.
You should have recorded it while you were there.
I know, I didn't think about that. Before I get to the book, just because we're on that side note, did you know that geckos make a noise?
No, I didn't before. You told me this separately than this podcast. So like I remember now. I don't remember what you said it was. Was it like a clicking noise or something?
It's kind of like a clicking, but we thought it was a bird. So we saw that there were geckos like on the walls and like ceiling in the Airbnb. Cute little guys, not a problem to have in there. But there's trees right outside, so we would hear the little clicky chirping sound every once in a while, and we're like looking outside like, oh, there must be a bird really close to the window. And then, I don't know, eventually we realized, oh, it's the geckos that are inside are making that noise. It's so weird. So that would be part of the noise we'd be recording.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, that's so interesting. Yeah, because like you, I would have had no idea. I never knew that geckos made a noise. I just don't think of, lizards or reptiles of making any kind of noise, really, other than hissing or like a snake or hiss or something.
Yeah, maybe just...
I could imagine like sound. Iguanas and stuff could hiss also, but I didn't think they would make any kind of noise other than that.
Yeah, that was interesting. So, listening to all these nature sounds, that was the background of my reading. And to get an even more immersive experience, I wanted to read a book about Costa Rica. So I brought this book with me called The Costa Rica Reader, History, Culture, and Politics. It's by Stephen Palmer and Yvonne Molina. Those are the editors, though. They're historians, one from Canada, the other one from Costa Rica, the University of Costa Rica, San Jose. And they edited this collection that's like a collection of historical documents. So it's a lot of primary artifacts throughout time. And they provide like introductions to these themed sections and editorial writing that kind of explains some context. And it was super interesting to be able to read through history while being there. I will say, as a caution to any potential readers that I'm recommending, I did have some problems with the way it's edited because, like I said, there's a lot of primary documents. Some of them are super interesting. Other ones, it's like, I don't know, a little newspaper clipping article that it's like, what's really the point of this one? Most of them are really interesting, and other ones, like, they could be interesting if maybe they put it a little more in context instead of just like they just kind of present a lot of them in a row.
Yeah.
And then there'll be a little context. So what I mean is it's not something like Killers of the Flower Moon where it's presenting a narrative arc. It's just like, here's a bunch of stuff that happened. And it's like vaguely chronological, kind of, but also separated by themes. So it also sometimes jumps back and forth. Other than some of these issues, super interesting. And reason I said I have a lot to talk about today is I wanted to just share some of the interesting snapshots of Costa Rican history that I learned from this book. So, how much do you know about Costa Rica off the top of your head? If I start there.
Pura Vida, that's about it.
Pura Vida, Costa Rica, yeah.
Well, and some of the things that you've told me about that are more like pop culture-y, but not historically, almost nothing.
Yeah, that's why I think the book is interesting and worth talking about because, yeah, and people in the U.S. might not know a lot about it, or even from other countries. I know I've told some people that about going to Costa Rica, and they'll even mix it up in their head with Puerto Rico because the name is so similar. They'll be like, "Oh yeah, it's not an island. What's the other one that's an island?" What most people know about Costa Rica, if anything, is that it's like known as a peaceful country. That pura vida mindset, kind of like a Hawaiian tropical vacation place. Some people call it the Switzerland of Central America because they're neutral. They're very diplomatic. They don't get involved in like international conflict. And the big fun fact that a lot of people know is that they have no military. So they abolished their military and they focus a lot on social infrastructure like education. Whenever I told people that fun fact, I usually get the question like, how is that even possible for a country today to not have a military? Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I didn't know. When I first learned about Costa Rica, it was in my high school Spanish class. And I just thought, oh, that's so cool. Like, they're so peaceful and they don't have a military. That's awesome. It's like paradise. But I didn't think critically of, like, how is that actually practically possible in today's world? So, brief history to lead up to that. It has a similar origin as any country in the Americas. You know, they had indigenous people there, and then Europeans came over to colonize. So it was part of New Spain for a while. What is today, you know, California all the way down to Panama was part of New Spain, or the Kingdom of Spain. And then fast forward to the Mexican Revolution. Mexico gained independence by going to war with Spain. But after that, Mexico did not acquire the rest of Central America. So from Guatemala down to Panama, it wasn't Mexico, but it wasn't part of Spain. There was kind of a question there, like, what's going to happen? And so the leader of Guatemala at the time, like the region, just negotiated with Spain to become independent, for all of Central America to be independent through no other war. And I thought that was interesting. That was in 1821. And so Costa Rica became independent through Mexico fighting a war and then Guatemala making a deal. So they didn't even do anything. And so there's even a story in the book of like someone from Guatemala had to, you know, ride a horse all the way down to Costa Rica and be like, hey, for the last 2 months that it took us to get down here, you guys have been independent. Congratulations. And I don't know. I can't imagine their reaction like, oh, okay, cool. Pura vida, I guess, you know? I don't know when they started saying that. But then Costa Rica got more of a national identity later in the 1800s in something called the Filibuster War, which I was interested to learn about because it involves the U.S. kind of. There was a guy from the U.S. called William Walker who tried to take over all of Central America, basically. He wanted it to like be his. So he went down to Nicaragua, which is just to the north of Costa Rica, when they were in the middle of a civil war, and he took that like opportunity to take over Nicaragua. And then he tried to expand and take over Central America, and Costa Rican troops defeated him in a battle which, like I said, gave Costa Rica more of a national identity. They had this one martyr hero in this war named Juan Santamaria, who like sacrificed himself and died in the war to help turn the battle and win for Costa Rica. So today, that's the name of the airport where I landed in the capital of San Jose. It's called Juan Santamaria Airport. There's a big statue of him outside the front. So I thought that was cool to learn about. And you might be thinking, wait, I thought they don't have a military. How did they have a military and, you know, fight in this battle? Well, they had a military all the way up until 1948. So after World War II, which they weren't really involved in. They were even kind of neutral at that point and not like a developed enough nation to have a stake in it. They had their own civil war in 1948. Yeah, so they had the kind of opposition was led by Jose Figueres Ferrer, who became the president after winning their civil war in 1948. And he's the one in writing their new constitution that abolished the military. And reading history, you can discover that it's a lot more complex than like, we believe in world peace, so we should have no military. There's a lot of nuance and context to it. So a big part of it is to, make sure that there weren't any other future military coups that could overthrow the government and start a dictatorship. Because unfortunately, a lot of other Latin American countries have, had military coups and problems with dictatorships. And especially around that time and after 1948 is when the Cold War started, and the CIA in the U.S. was like helping some military coups overthrow democratically elected leaders in Latin America. So that's a whole nother topic we don't need to get into, but there's a short history that I thought was interesting about how Costa Rica kind of, maybe got lucky with getting their independence, but then also abolished their own military and became the peaceful Pura Vida country that they are today.
Yeah, and it does still seem interesting. I thought maybe you were going to get there of like, how do they maintain it here from like a defense standpoint? Because it does seem like I don't know if like they are a smaller country in size.
Yeah.
But is it like, do they not have a whole lot of natural resources that? It's probably because it's so small. Even if they have some, it's like all these other countries are worrying about fighting over natural resources in larger countries that have larger natural resources. Because that's what it made me think of. It's like, if you don't have a military, you can't defend against other countries who want to go in and, get your resources. But then again, if you ally yourself with other larger countries that do have a military, then they could probably protect you against that. Right? And that's probably part of it, huh?
Yeah, you basically guessed it. I mean, great thinking. And yeah, I should have gotten to that because that was my opening question. Like, how do they defend themselves? Well, going back to the origins of it, they call it Costa Rica, which means rich coast, because the Spanish conquistadors, they thought there was going to be a lot of natural resources there, like gold, because it still seems like there's a mystery to it, but a lot of the indigenous people there were wearing a lot of gold. So they're like, oh yeah, we're going to strike gold here. But then looking into the mountains and stuff, they didn't really find a lot of gold or silver or anything like that. And yeah, even today, it's not like they're striking oil. So yeah, there aren't reasons for people to go plunder there like that. But also, yes, they rely a lot on being diplomatic with other countries that are their allies, specifically the United States that has, the most well-funded military in the world. The U.S. and Costa Rica are allies today, so they can easily rely on support from the U.S. And yeah, that was something that came up in the reading around the time of the Cold War, where there was like a little bit more tension between the U.S. and Costa Rica because the CIA was just weary of any leaders that might be sympathetic to communism. But there was a treaty signed that made it like, okay, they have to be peaceful with each other. And another nuance about the Constitution of Costa Rica from 1948 is that it's not like illegal for Costa Rica to have a military. It just abolished it as a permanent institution. So that means they can put together a military short term if there is a conflict.
Right. Gotcha.
It just means if the conflict ends, they have to stop funding it, put it back to police, funding the police for local conflict.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that was, the longest I've probably talked about a book on this book section, but still a short amount of time to talk about the whole history of a country. So, I recommend reading about it. It's a lot of interesting history in, like you said, a small country. I always hear that it's about the size of West Virginia. So,
okay.
Well, let's move on from books to what we've been watching lately. Have you watched any interesting TV shows or movies lately?
I wanted to bring up one movie that I finally got around to watching, which was Nosferatu. The one directed by Robert Eggers. Have you seen it?
I still have not seen it, no.
Okay. So this recommendation will be for you as well, because what I'm going to say about this is basically that this movie, I think, would be liked by fans of the original book, Dracula.
Oh, yeah, and I love Dracula.
So it's not exactly the same, but I think it nailed the feeling of reading that book, and the things that they do take directly from the book, because there are some things that they copy directly. They're cool to see in a modern movie, and going like, oh yeah, I remember that, this is, so, I would recommend it. I think I ended up liking it in a different way than I thought that I would. I kind of, it's not as straight up, weird as like some Robert Eggers, like The Lighthouse is Robert Eggers. That's pretty weird and out there. And this is pretty straightforward, vampire story. So obviously it's got its gore and it's kind of creepy stuff like that. It's scary, but yeah, not as out there weird, or not as artsy in the way that sometimes I like Under the Skin or something. I thought it might be that because of the previews made it look kind of like that, but it is a little more classical, and that's why I'm saying it really nails the book feeling in a lot of the parts. So that's all I'm going to say without giving away too much stuff from it.
Awesome. Well, that's a high recommendation. That it does make me really interested to watch it, because like you said, I loved Dracula, the book by Bram Stoker, and I was also surprised by how much I like it, because maybe just because of kind of like my age, my generation, there was a big vampire phase where what I think of as vampire content was like Twilight, which I'm not criticizing. I never read or watched any of them. It just like, it didn't seem like something I would enjoy. So when I read Dracula, I was like, wow, this is amazing. Such a fun adventure story. So I really want to check that out now. And speaking of vampires, I actually wanted to talk about a vampire movie I watched called Morbius.
Yeah.
You've seen Morbius, right?
I've seen Morbius.
And you don't like it so much, right?
No, I didn't like it.
Yeah, well, I didn't watch it when it came out. No one that I knew recommended it to me, like the way that you just recommended Nosferatu. Nobody was telling me to go see Morbius. I was hearing a lot of bad things about it. But this connects back to my Costa Rica trip, because my wife and I went to Nauyaca in Costa Rica for this waterfall tour. And so we had a guide take us to see some beautiful waterfalls. On this drive up into the mountains, the guide pointed out the window to these waterfalls in the mountains in the distance. And she was like, "You see those waterfalls up there up on the mountain? Those are the waterfalls from the movie Morbius. Have you guys seen that movie, Morbius?" And I was like, it took me a second to even think of what it was. I was like, what? Oh, Morbius. That's the one. It's like that Marvel one, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, we both had not seen it. And we both hadn't heard good things about it. But we were like, okay, it was filmed where we just were today. So when we got back to our Airbnb, we found it streaming, and we're like, we should watch it while we're here. Let's see, Costa Rica in a big Hollywood movie. And it was cool to see Costa Rica in it, but disappointing because it's barely in it. Yeah. I mean, we could have just watched the first scene on YouTube and gotten the Costa Rica part. But it was still cool to see because it opens with like an aerial shot. They must have taken on a drone over the Costa Rican rainforest going up to the waterfall. And then it even says in the corner like that they're in Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And I wasn't expecting that like it takes place in Costa Rica in the story, because I know they film like nature-y scenes in Costa Rica and stuff, like After Earth by M. Night Shyamalan. That one's in Costa Rica, but not in the plot. I also recently learned one of the things we did for Adaptation Station, Congo.
I was going to get this. I don't remember if you told me that before, and that's what reminded me. But as you were about to say that, that's what I would have guessed. Obviously, what's the thing we've done that has a jungle in it, right?
Yeah. I don't know if I knew that when we were filming our episode. If I did, I forgot about it until I was like looking it up. But yeah, it was cool to see that like Costa Rica's part of the plot, that Dr. Morbius goes down there because there's a special type of bat that he wants to study. But then the scene is just like he cuts his palm and points it towards the waterfall, and all the bats come rushing at him like they're sharks after the blood, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Kind of weird, but I will say that a lot of the beginning of the movie, it was kind of boring. I wasn't getting into it. The dialogue wasn't great. I wasn't connecting with the characters so much, but once he turned into the monster vampire thing, I actually was surprised. I thought it was pretty good. Like the way he transforms and then like he jumps and glides around killing people.
Yeah, the way that he moves around and stuff is good. I like that. I mean, it's not the worst thing that exists in the world, but
yeah, it could be, partly an expectation thing where people are saying, I think so. This is one of the worst movies ever.
Well, yeah. I know people are really hating on the Sony adaptations of all these things that they were trying to do, the Sinister Six stuff. And I think I might get a little more disappointed at it because it's all Spider-Man villains, and I like Spider-Man so much. Like, I would really love to see these executed really well, and they're kind of not,
Yeah. That's a good point. I mean, the random... spoiler that I'm sure no one cares about. The random appearance of Michael Keaton at the end to be like that he's meeting with Vulture. I don't know. It was pretty random. But for me, like as a casual viewer of this movie and like divorcing it from context of anything else, I'm like, it's a good enough kind of classic monster tale of like, he's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde mixed with Dracula. And I did like, what's his name? The guy that plays his friend that's the villain. I think it's Matt Smith, something like that.
Yeah. He's a Doctor Who, right?
Yeah, one of the doctors. Yeah, I thought he was pretty good. I mean, it's just an interesting villain to be like, that they're friends. And so it's like, you can understand his point of view of like, oh, you found a way to not be sick and dying anymore, but you're not going to share it with me? That's crazy. And Morbius is like, oh, but you don't want this. It's a curse. Like, I have to kill people. And so, I thought it was good enough.
Yeah. It also does the thing, which this isn't always a negative because it happens all the time in comic books and comic-related things. But this is it becomes just another thing that, if you already don't like the movie, it's kind of like, oh, come on, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's the hero, like hero or whatever. In this case, he's not a hero; he's an anti-hero already. But fighting another version of themselves.
Oh yeah. That's a good point.
It's like, it happens that thing, and honestly, all three Venom movies are that. Mm. It's Venom fighting other Venoms. Yeah. Whether it's Carnage or what. And it's kind of like, all right, we get it, So I think probably for me, after watching a bunch of Venoms and then, we have this, it's just like it was too much within the Sony universe of things fighting the same version of them, another version of them.
Yeah, that's a fair critique. I wasn't thinking about that. I was just thinking, surprisingly good, and also like, yeah, definitely not the worst movie of all time, but also for me, not even the worst Marvel movie in my opinion. That might be a hot take.
It's definitely not the worst Marvel movie.
Like I liked it
you
better.
You also
than...
haven't seen Madam Web though, huh?
I did.
That one's kind of bad.
Yeah, I liked it better than Madam Web.
Yeah.
But yeah, I liked it better than Madam Web. I liked it better than even the standalone Black Widow movie I was not a huge fan of.
I liked that one better. I don't know.
Yeah, that might be close. The Red Guardian is introduced in that, and Yelena, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I definitely liked it better than Ant-Man and Wasp Quantumania,
I don't think that I did. I recognize that that's not a good movie, though.
Yeah.
I think I still put Morbius a little below that one.
Yeah, but overall, I don't want to criticize them too much because in general, I'm a big fan of superhero movies, and I'm forgiving of them being cheesy and not that great because that's just kind of what they are,
Yeah, and obviously I keep watching them,
Yeah.
I've watched them all,
Yeah. And even in the ones that I really, really like, there is usually when most of it is great, there's always one scene or one line of dialogue that makes me roll my eyes. There's always one thing they do that I'm like, ugh, I don't know. There's never been a perfect 10 out of 10 Marvel movie for me. I know it might.
Oh yeah,
Logan,
I've got 10 out of 10s.
Logan might be the closest.
Great. I think that Infinity War is the one before Endgame, the one where they first all come together and all that kind of stuff, and at the end they all disappear.
Yeah,
it's very emotional. I think they pulled that off really well.
That's a good pick. That one and the first Avengers movie are both in my mind great.
Well, I think I would almost. I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10 for me, but the first Iron Man movie is also very good.
Yeah. Okay, I think we'll get back to Marvel later. We keep talking about Marvel, but let's get to talking about some music. Have you been listening to any music you'd recommend lately?
I'm just gonna really quickly mention I'm still not on anything new, but I decided after we went on a little quick road trip a little while ago up to Washington and back, and we were listening to music there, and it made me go, oh, I want to listen to more of the stuff that I listened to in high school and stuff. There's a lot of stuff I haven't listened to for a while, so I made this big old playlist of 600 or 700 songs on Spotify. Yeah, a big old honking playlist back in the day when you would make a playlist on your iPod or whatever. It would be all based on all the songs that you have, your favorite ones from there. They would be that big. They'd be 1,000 songs. It's mostly classic rock, Eagles, Beatles,
Eagles and Beatles,
Rolling Stones. I don't know, Def Leppard, Van Halen. But then with a few random things thrown in there that I liked, Three Doors Down, Matchbox 20, some stuff from the era in there. So it's kind of a little weird. It's mostly classic rock, but then something else will come on and you're like, all right, okay. But I've liked that. That's been kind of fun to listen to, and it being so big, it's you might as well be on permanent shuffle anyway,
Yeah.
So
that's
what I've been listening to. What have you been listening to? And I guess tell us more about the Shakira concert, right?
Yeah, I think I'll focus mostly on the Shakira concert because, I like what you're talking about with going back, being nostalgic, listening to music, and even kind of choosing an era can be fun instead of a genre. And for me, it was nostalgic in a way to go see Shakira. Of course, she's touring for a new album that just recently came out, but she's had a long career, as long as I've been alive, basically. And I started becoming a fan of Shakira when I was 14, 15 years old, because of Spanish classes, really, in high school. Because I think at that point, maybe I knew Hips Don't Lie, because that's a crossover hit everybody knows. But then in my Spanish 1 class at our high school, I I think it was Spanish one. Our teacher played, which song was it first? Estoy Aquí from her first album. And that's like a very different sound from something like Hips Don't Lie. Her first album's like a little more alternative singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, acoustic guitar, but also kind of rockish. Some people compare her first album to like Jagged Little Pill by Alanis Morissette. Kind of that vibe. So when I heard that song, like really, and we had to like listen to it a bunch to like figure out the words of the lyrics because you know we're learning Spanish language. So listening to it more and more, I was also like, oh, the lyrics are really interesting. Especially when she sings in her native language, the lyrics tend to be a little more interesting, in my opinion. So that opened up Shakira to me, and I just became a huge fan since high school. So this was like a big, important bucket list item for me to go see her live. I had to make sure I saw her live before she retires. I mean, I don't think she's going to retire anytime soon, but can't put it off. And
yeah, hopefully she keeps going like freaking Mick Jagger and Keith Richards keep going. They're in their 80s.
Yeah,
and, I mean, Paul
wild.
McCartney too, you know, but I mean, I just to go off on that tangent on that, I don't know how old, I mean, Mick Jagger's got to be 80 to 85 or something right now. And I just watched, you know, a little while ago, a video of him at I think the most recent Grammys or something. He maybe introduced somebody. He looks great for that old. You know, he's energetic and everything, and it's like everybody needs to get on whatever he's on now. And hopefully it's not just because he did a bunch of drugs earlier, because Keith Richards did that too, and he's still kicking.
Hopefully, hopefully it's more like the power of rock and roll, the soul of the music.
Well, and I always remember I have this like live DVD of the Rolling Stones, probably from 20 years ago now almost, you know, and he was old then, but I remember him talking about running a lot, you know, to like prepare for his concerts and stuff. So I think it just might be, you know, a runner and stay in good shape. So yeah,
that's good to hear. That's what I was gonna ask about when you brought up Mick Jagger. I'm like wondering, does he still run around stage, like do all his energetic stuff, or
maybe not like when he was 25, but you know, I think he still moves around.
Yeah, because I imagine, you know, some artists, especially if they started out not being like a Mick Jagger type energetic stage performer, I imagine they would, you know, sit on a stool and like just sing their songs calmly at that age.
This actually reminds me, we kind of, my fiance and I, we kind of went off on a little deep dive of old, you know, rockers like this, to see like what do they look like now? How are they looking? You know, and we saw a video of Ringo from very recently. He's still touring too, and he's the same basic age. He's 80 something, you know, coming out onto stage, just like, you know, dancing or whatever, come on stage. He looked great, you know. So
awesome. Yeah. Well, then we've got decades more of Shakira. It should be, because she's definitely active. I mean, she was not, you know, sitting down in a chair up there. She was running around. She's known for dancing. She was doing plenty of dancing and singing, and like even, I mean, it was the most theatrical concert I've ever been to, from like the big screens that would show her up close, but then also show like animations and things on the theme of the song, to a lot of costume changes. I think I might have already told you this, like on my first reaction, like the amount of times she would, the stage would lower, she would go down and then reemerge in a new costume very quickly. It's enough for people to start a conspiracy theory that there's multiple Shakira clones, you know?
Yeah.
Like people say about Paul McCartney, I think.
Yeah, Paul McCartney was replaced, yeah.
But yeah, there's like a bunch of Shakiras downstage.
And Avril Lavigne, I think. There's the same thing with Avril Lavigne, yeah.
It's funny the people they choose, like why Avril Lavigne? Probably because she changed her sound so much. But anyways, Shakira, if I have any complaint, which is a very small complaint, I kind of wish she showed off more of her multi-instrumentalism, because she plays guitar, drums, piano. I don't know what else in real life. However, I understand that she, wanted to focus on like the dancing is a big part of it, and of course the vocals. So she didn't hop on the drums. She didn't play piano, which I understand would, I don't know, maybe slow it down too much to do a ballad where you're sitting at a piano, because it was like just nonstop stuff.
Oh yeah.
But she did hop on the guitar. She played rhythm guitar for a song or two. She even did the guitar solo for her song Underneath Your Clothes. That was cool. But yeah, back to the theatrical stuff. I mean, there was like costumes and like a part where there's a robot and she's like pretending to do welding on it to bring it to life to like dance to the song. A lot of cool stuff overall. And one other thing I wanted to mention from her show that I had never seen at a concert before, but anyone can do it if there are any big performers taking notes. When we first got there, it was at the Oracle Park in San Francisco, which is where what are they called? The Giants, the San Francisco Giants baseball team play. So it's a big baseball stadium. We're like way up in the stands. You can see the water because it's just open air. There's like seagulls flying above us. But when you first go into the concert, they give you like a wristband that it was like an electronic thing, though. It had a big electronic thing on there where we were wondering what it was. I'm like, this is not just a regular show that you got in the right way. We're like, is it going to start vibrating to let you know she's coming on stage? Like some restaurants give you that vibrating thing. And it did. It did start vibrating, but it also would light up different colors to go with the song, which is super cool, especially where we were like kind of high up in the stands. We could see all the lights below us.
Yeah.
That kind of replaces the lighters were already replaced with people waving their cell phone.
Yeah.
But this one, it's like they're shining different colors to match the song and the costume. And it just looked like a sea of stars like below us that's like dancing to the music. So that was a unique experience for me and very cool. Highly recommend seeing Shakira if anyone gets the chance. Okay,
that's cool.
Yeah, that was a great experience. That's what I've been listening to lately, re-listening to that concert in my head. Do you want to go back to Marvel and give your Marvel Power rankings now?
I think we're so far into this episode. I think I'll save that segment for next episode. And we want to make sure we get in our recast for this episode. So our recast for this month's episode is James Bond. We're in between Bonds right now. We have been for a few years. We knew when No Time to Die came out. That was Daniel Craig's last one. That was a few years ago. So there's so much buzz out there. Who do you think should be the next James Bond?
Yeah, this is a big question for us, an important question.
Yeah.
I think the most important...
Yeah, we've been Bond fans our whole lives, basically.
Yeah. I mean, I was watching James Bond from when I was too young to be watching James Bond.
Well, we all, I think, were.
Yeah. But, I mean, I loved it back then. It wasn't too scary or anything. And, yeah, obviously we're both big fans, and I think it's the hardest recast question that we've done, maybe that we'll ever do, because there's so much weight behind it, so many years and different actors. And for me specifically, I would want the next James Bond to be an actor that I don't really know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I would want to just see them as like, this guy's the new James Bond, and that's all I know him as. Like, I don't want it to be someone where I'm like, oh, it's the guy who played Doctor Who one time, and I know him as that. Or I even heard the rumor that, maybe it would be Tom Holland as the next James Bond. And
yeah, I did hear that was recent.
Doesn't that sound horrible to you?
Well, it does, yeah.
Yeah, I hope that doesn't happen. So I struggled to even pick someone. I wanted to just like look up someone that I'd seen in something kinda, but he's not typecast in my mind. Mm-hmm. And I landed on a guy named Richard Flood. A name you probably don't recognize.
No, I gotta look it up.
Yeah, he's actually an Irish actor, which I think is okay. I think they've had British and Scottish actors.
Yeah, they kind of... I don't know if it was always in the James Bond lore that he's from Scotland, but they think they did that because Sean Connery was the first James Bond and he was Scottish. You know, they did that when they went back for with Daniel Craig in Skyfall, like he went back to Scotland or whatever. So, but yeah.
Well, I chose this guy, an Irish actor who I only know from 2 kind of minor TV appearances. He played a guy named Tommy McConnell in Grey's Anatomy, which was like a short-lived potential love interest for Meredith Grey, the main character. So not even like a long-standing cast member in that. And then he was on the American version of Shameless for a little bit, another like potential love interest. So obviously they cast him as like a charming, potentially romantic guy. That fits James Bond. I will say he was bald in both of those that I watched. I had to Google if he can grow hair, because I think that's probably required for James Bond.
Yeah, or they could do a wig. Yeah, or he could go to Turkey. He probably wouldn't have to go to Turkey and get a cheap hair transplant or whatever.
Yeah. It looks like he can grow hair. Those were just...
Or we could have the first bald Bond. We had the first blonde Bond, and now we get the first bald Bond.
That's right. That could be groundbreaking. The first bald Irish Bond. And and he's 43 years old. I think that's a pretty good for a starting Bond.
Yeah, I think it's actually a little older than they generally have been. I think I looked that up. I didn't write notes down about it, but I think that Daniel Craig was a little bit younger. I think for the most part they've been a little bit younger than that, maybe in their late 30s.
Yeah, when they could be James Bond for a while. Yeah, that's true, but I wouldn't want them to be too young, like in their 20s. It would seem like strange, like Tom Holland, yeah. But then 43, I feel like feels good.
I think it's
these
okay.
days. Yeah, it's not like 59 or like casting Robert De Niro or Al Pacino.
He could do 3 movies, maybe, and still be, fine.
Yeah, and maybe we could have just a short Bond while they find someone else. But I'm curious, who did you pick to be the next James Bond?
So, yeah, I kind of was going through the same thing where, obviously, like, Idris Elba has been a popular choice for years, but now he's a little too old.
Yeah.
And then you get into that same thing where it's like, do you want somebody popular, super popular to be playing James Bond? So, like, obvious choices for just, like, looking good in a suit would be Henry Cavill or Aaron Taylor-Johnson.
Yeah.
But it's like... that's a little too on the nose, and I almost, because I'm such a fan of his right now, this is an out there one. I really wanted to say like Robert Pattinson.
Oh, okay.
But I'm not going to. And I went a little bit different, and I actually haven't seen him in that many things. He's definitely in some big stuff though, and I was going to say Dev Patel.
Oh, yes.
Is James Bond.
I love it. I wouldn't have thought of that, but that's a great pick.
Yeah, for like a different direction, somebody you wouldn't think to be Bond. He can keep his look. I think his look is already good. The longer hair, with facial hair. Yeah. I think it looks great. I haven't seen, what's that one, Monkey Man or whatever? That's an action movie that he's in. I haven't seen it.
I did watch it. I was going to recommend that because...
Okay.
I mean, before that, I knew him from we did The Green Knight.
Green Knight, yeah.
But yeah, I've somewhat recently watched Monkey Man. I'm a big fan of martial arts movies. That's like a kind of classic kung fu style movie. Mm-hmm. And I loved it. I mean, yeah, that was a great action movie. And yeah, he's the lead star where after watching Monkey Man, I could see him being, a James Bond type hero. So...
Yeah.
Inspired. Yeah, I'm a big fan of your pick.
Well, good. I would love to see it too. I think I just searched British actors or whatever, and I was
British actors of a certain age, kind of thing.
Yeah, and he's in his 30s,
okay.
So it would be he's not too young, he's not too old. He's probably he'd be about my age then, probably mid 30s. Mm-hmm. I think we could have him for several Bond movies.
Yeah, and I would be there for it. Of course, I'm going to be there for whatever James Bond they pick next.
Absolutely.
I'm going to be curious to see how it's done, but I would be even more excited if it was Dev Patel or Richard Flood. Let us know in the comments who picked a better James Bond, or let us know your idea who should be the next James Bond. And as for episode 3 of the Some Brothers podcast, thank you so much for listening. In case you missed it, before you go, our last episode of Adaptation Station was on the book Animal Husbandry and its movie adaptation with the changed title Someone Like You. One of my wife's favorite movies. That's why we did that one. And our upcoming episode is a recommendation we got in the comments. Dolores Claiborne, the Stephen King book and the movie adaptation starring... What's her name? This is bad.
Kathy Bates.
Kathy Bates, yeah. So go check out Animal Husbandry. You can watch that now. Stay tuned, like and subscribe so you don't miss Dolores Claiborne real soon. Thank you again for listening to this episode of the Some Brothers podcast. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.